I mean, you said it, Kajan. It just a great, almost picture perfect third quarter for the Las Vegas Aces. Not sure you could have drawn it up much better if you were an Aces fan. Obviously within reason. Because of course you can just say blow them out 30-0 in the third quarter. But, of a realistic way that third quarter could have went, it probably went the best it could have for Vegas.
And like you said, Spencer, it was picture perfect. Sure, Breanna Stewart got hers with 8 in the third quarter, but the rest of the team in that third quarter only scored 8 points, aside from Stewart.
And, Johannes hasn't made a shot in the second half yet. Vandersloot continues to struggle. Only 3 points in the game. Five assists.
And it's not that Johannes was missing shots. She only had one attempt in that third quarter. They made
And
a concerted effort to take the ball out of her hands, double teaming her at the minute she got the ball.
and they've let Vandersloot shoot, like we talked about in the first quarter, where you were surprised they were letting Vandersloot shoot as Plum was going under screens, and now 1 for 8. That's been a net win, big time, for the Aces.
And if you're Sandy Brondello, it has to make you wonder: do you stick with Vandersloot? Do you go with the 3 point guard lineup to try to force the Aces to make adjustments, or do you ride the hot hand with Johannes and move Vandersloot to the bench? Because right now, as I'm looking at this, he's a team worst -14 on the floor. Meanwhile, Johannes is a team best +8.
That's basically all from her baskets.
Pretty much.
And again, she has just been so good. And I know it's easy again to say been so good and not put into effect that she has missed a couple shots, as everyone's gonna. Actually, she's only missed a couple. She's only missed 2 so far, and that's the thing is and that brings to a point, Cage, I think you mentioned there with them going under Vandersloot. Maybe that's when you bench Vandersloot for Johannes and see if you can force Plum to go over.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you force Plum to go over the screen, then that would at least normally lead to, or often lead to, a more open screener to be able to get downhill and get to the basket, which would be, for the Liberty, 9 times out of 10, or I'd say 10 times out of 10, either Jonquel Jones, former MVP, or reigning MVP Breanna Stewart.
Mm-hmm. And Plum with the floater in the lane. This is the Aces' biggest lead of the game at 9. We've not had a double-digit lead thus far in this game.
And I gotta be honest here, Cage. I'm kind of not liking the idea of having a coach do an interview during the quarter. Not sure I like that, because you saw Becky Hammond there on the broadcast here at the start of this fourth quarter, talking to her team as she's talking to the interviewers. It just, doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
And now there's our first double-digit lead of the game. And honestly, I gotta agree with you. It's an interesting concept. It is
A
an
thousand percent
interesting
that.
concept to see the coaches being interviewed during the game, but I think that should be a regular season thing when the stakes aren't at their highest, in my opinion.
I just think it's an unneeded distraction for everybody. Because and I'll be honest, coaches swear, and sometimes profusely, depending on which coach you deal with. Some coaches don't, but I'd say majority do. And they have to try to think about what they're saying to you as you ask questions. Watch the game as they process what's going on. Tell their team to do certain things, switch certain things, whatever. All in the fact that they have to pick certain language very meticulously and particularly, or they're going to get in trouble. There's a lot of factors that go into that.
In the heat of the moment, too, during like a very important game as well.
Like for me, there's just too many factors to take into this. Like I would personally say no. Like you would not catch me dead doing this in a game, even regular season, Kajan. I would say no. I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. That is a over expectation of what I'm paid to do. When we do it in between quarters, like they do the NBA, absolutely, absolutely. I will do the whole quarter, the whole in between quarters. I'll let my assistant coaches do the talk. Absolutely. Between the first and second, obviously, halftime a little different. You know? But I just don't like it. I really don't like it. Because too many variables.
That's an interesting Sally there from Chelsea Gray after throwing a dime, and I mean a dot, an absolute dime to a diving Jackie Young on the backdoor cut, forcing a timeout from Sandy Brondello as both teams get out of the timeout, and a 9-0 run from the Aces. And you're right. There's just way too many variables for a head coach to do a sideline interview in the middle of play.
And then, like, if she cusses by accident or on purpose, you know, if she pulls a Shaq, or they pull a Shaq, if it ends up becoming an NBA thing, you know, how do you cut that? How do you get around that? Like, I feel like, you know, as a guy who got taught by John Shannon, and obviously you feel this as you can, College of Sports Media has that kind of a privilege where John Shannon is our professor. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like he wouldn't like it either. And again, it's a great idea. It's a great concept. It's something I really is interesting. As you said, it's very intriguing. It's just, I don't think in practice, I don't think it works out as well as maybe it should. Because I think the Liberty get their first points or some of their first points of the quarter there with that lay-in.
And I noticed during that offensive possession, Plum is not paying any attention to Vandersloot on the perimeter as Clark gets her first field goal of the game on the hook.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it, Cage. Vandersloot got her second make. First from inside the arc.
Second make? Or maybe I'm
you
just
behind me? What time are you at, Cage?
7:07.
I'm also at 7:07. So I think you missed a Vandersloot make. It was the 67th points, I believe.
That was Laney. Oh, now she had her second make. The jumper.
That would make sense. Score is ahead of us. Both of us, might I add.
And for Vandersloot, that's her fourth foul.
Which also adds to the pressure of her struggling from the field, is now you got to think about if she fouls out. As I will mention, Johannes now has 18 minutes played, almost as many as Vandersloot.
Yep.
And obviously has her well outpointed. 18 for Johannes, 5 for Vandersloot.
It was also a good sign for Vandersloot to knock down that jumper. But on the contrary, now with her 4 fouls, she can't really play much defense. Oh man, the point guard, like they call her Chelsea Gray, and a bad pass there, and a poor. I don't know if that was a poor pass from Ionescu or poor court awareness there from Jonquil Jones, but that turnover cannot happen.
Not at this point in the game, Cage.
And I think that's. And you mentioned bench play as the deciding factor in this series in which you ultimately picked aces in 5. The main reason why I picked aces in 5, not because of the Chelsea Gray factor, but there's something about chemistry. Like chemistry is an underrated factor. And the aces have brought back mostly the same group that's been there and done that from last season. The Liberty, as good as they've been, the Liberty, as good as they've been and as well as they've adjusted on the fly, this is a new team. This is a new team. And as much talent as they have, against a team with just as much talent but more chemistry, that what how do I say it? That sort of chemistry differential is going to hurt New York as this series goes along. And it's already hurt them in the second half.
And you kind of saw the replay there, Cage, and of that missed pass by the Liberty. What did you think? Because I think that's Jonquil Jones' fault. Yes, Sabrina Ionescu tried to pass the ball in too fast. That is also a factor. But Jonquil Jones has got to see. You are the closest player to the ball. And everyone else is gone. So one of the few things I hate as a basketball spectator and aspiring basketball coach is when a player, the opposing team hits a shot, and somebody goes to inbound the ball, and not one person on the floor goes to receive the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Cage, what is the first thing you do in a game of basketball? Get the ball in. I'd rather have everyone try to get the ball in first than no one try to get the ball in first. Because there's no point in go sitting in the corner if the ball's not in play.
Mm-hmm. I kind of was talking about the play in place, but that's on Jones. But you're right, that is on Jones. Like you're literally running up the floor, looking at the basket with no court awareness whatsoever, not realizing that the ball's right there. And credit Kelsey Plum. She could have just jogged back on defense and not noticed it, but she forced the issue. But that's on Jones. That can't happen, especially in the finals. It's inexcusable during the regular season. It's especially inexcusable in game 1 of the WNBA Finals. That can't happen.
And it's just the litany of mistakes that have costed this Liberty team in the second half. They've scored 20 points total in the second half. Las Vegas, double. They're at 40. And that is how the Aces have gone from being down by 3 at the half to up by, I'm trying to do the quick math here, Cage, 15 17. It looks like. 17.
And it's just we're seeing some bit checks here from.
Now, Cajun, can I say it? Am I allowed to say it?
Go ahead.
I couldn't care less, Cajun, about their fits. It does not matter to me in these slides. I don't want to see it. If I was in the truck, I wouldn't put that on air. I don't want to see it. Because personally, Kajan, for me, I think they all should be wearing suits or dresses, whatever formal wear they would like to wear. They actually have the option. Men don't. You have to wear suits. Well, I guess you have the option, Kajan. If you want to wear a dress, you could.
I
I don't
mean,
think it's formal, but if you want to wear a dress to grad, I'll let you.
or what we've seen in the NBA with Westbrook,
Those aren't dresses. Those are ugly,
or what Kyle Kuzma's worn.
and those are also
Really,
just ugly.
you
And
really want to go there?
and that's what I mean, Kajan. They should be wearing suits. Period. Across the board.
Oh, what a pass there from, I believe that was Chelsea Gray to Kelsey Plum.
And in basically this fourth quarter, until that make, Kajan, it was 19-4 in favor of the Aces in that run. That makes it 19-6.
For those of you that need quick math, that was 69-65. And as the broadcast just mentioned, 9 assists for the point guard, Chelsea Gray, in what is her 31st birthday.
I will quickly say, Kajan, it was 96. It was 49-46 at the half.
And before that run, it was 69-65. Before that and one from Jackie Young.
So it has just been all aces in the second half, which kind of takes the wind out of the sails of how much this game has lived up to our expectations. Because now it's kind of gotten to a blowout as the Aces now go up by as much as 21 in this fourth quarter with the Liberty timeout. But as you mentioned, the experience. I not only that, the chemistry and the experience. Again, this is the first time this team's been in the finals since 2002, since I was born. So 21 years, Cage. If you can imagine that, you old head. So this is a learning experience for this team. Even though Breonna Stewart's won, Jonquel Jones, is an experienced player, it's still a learning experience as a team and as for some of their young players like Enescu and etc.
And Vandersloot won it, I believe, in 21 with the Chicago Sky.
Yep, with
Candace Parker was actually on that team too.
Iran. Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, I believe Vandersloot won it with her now technically finals enemy in Candace Parker with the Sky a couple of years back. But obviously Parker is not playing in this series due to foot surgery. So it only is one of the two main cogs in that Chicago Sky championship. And again, the best part is, why did Candace Parker go to the Las Vegas Aces from the Chicago Sky? To win championships. And again, they show you said touchdown pass. There's Tom Brady.
Yeah, gotta call her
back on
Chelsea, you gotta call her Chelsea Brady after this highly efficient performance.
And they're gonna call that foul. Ooh, and that one goes Las Vegas Aces player that tried to get that block.
And that was Gray, who kind of got hit in the face.
And you mentioned Gray. Gray's got 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists with a couple steals to boot on rather efficient shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of got, and there's the slap down from Stewart. Obviously not intentional, you wouldn't say, but definitely caught her full in the face. As Stewart only makes 1, rebounded by the Aces, and now they'll get it to Plum, and they'll go down the floor. As that one missed by Plum. Pardon me, Cajun's now back. As I think some family's about to show up here, Cage. My parents are on their ways. Again, this is Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. Our graduation's on Tuesday, so my sister and her husband and my nephew are in town. My parents are back in the province, and they're on their way here. I know they should be here relatively soon. They're making about a 3 to 3.5 hour drive. I'm not including 401 traffic here in the TO, so it could be a lot longer than that. But I'm just trying to think of where they're coming from to where they're going. That's a I was gonna say, wait, they didn't whistle that? Whoa, 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 Kajan. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Becky Hammond's halfway on the floor. I I think she's got a point, Cage. I don't know how they. Oh, and they're pulling away Becky Hammond. Yo, Alicia Clark and Chelsea Gray are trying to grab away their coach right now. She's not having a little laugh with her players, but yo, that was blatant. How they didn't call that, Cage.
We gotta see. We gotta see if she had both feet off the ground.
Yeah, she did. She did.
She did.
That is an up and down. How do you not call that?
And throws that water bottle. Whoever's sponsoring that water bottle that's in her hands is not too pleased with that. Oh man, that how do you miss a call like that?
How do you miss that? And I know the foot came off a little bit, but that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the shooter. You have to see that she's halfway up, like she's getting up in the air. I can't believe that. Because normally when coaches and teams get that up at you about a call, you're normally right. Normally you're right. Now, I'd say 8 to 7 times out of 10 the ref's right. But there's those times where you're like, but that you have a whistle there. That is an up and down. And the entire it was right in front of the Las Vegas bench, so obviously all the Vegas players saw it, and then they were all incensed, and you saw their bench and get grabbed.
Honestly, looking at the broadcast, that could not have been more obvious. That could not be more obvious.
And I know I didn't enunciate or announce the allegation against Inescu until we saw the replay, but I thought at first that's why I stopped and thought they blew the whistle, and then realized they didn't, and the Liberty lay the ball in. Which, in a game where the difference right now with that basket by Stewart is 18, I know it really doesn't matter with 3 minutes left in this game. Even though, of course, if the Liberty make this game a lot closer, it will matter at the end of the day. But still, at first I thought they blew the whistle because the ref started pointing, and I thought, okay, he whistled it. And then realized he didn't, and I think was yelling at Becky Hammond. Because Becky Hammond, of course, as you saw after the play when she got held back by Gray and Clark, was incensed that they didn't blow the whistle. And Kajan, I'll be honest, I don't get mad at referees very often. I don't. When I watch a game, I don't pay attention to them. Late whistles do aggravate me. They will always aggravate me because if you wait and my team gets halfway down the floor and then you blow the whistle, then I want to rip your head off. But when it's a blatant missed call, like a double dribble or an up and down, like you gotta blow that. As you see there, Gray and Clark pulling back Becky Hammond in a little group hug. As she's mic'd up there, I saw a little laugh as now they're gonna call, I think, a technical against Becky Hammond. So Inescu will get a free throw out of it and makes it.
I thought that was going to be a ball don't lie moment, but the rim had other ideas.
Yeah, the ball just kept rolling. Well, no, that call is right, Cajun. It was, technical going against Becky Hammond. You can't do that. You can't yell at the referee. You can't be outside of the restricted area like that. Those are things you can't do too. But you also can't jump in the air and then come back down to the ground.
But with that being said, what really aggravates me. Why was that aggravation in the first place? Because you missed a call like that.
And now the Liberty Make it 14.
And it's Vandersloot taking advantage of Kelsey of the Vegas defense going under on her. And this might not mean as much as Gray may have just hit the dagger or ended any possibility of a possible Liberty comeback. But Vandersloot knocking down all these shots right now, as well as I believe that was Laney knocking down that shot too. What makes that a little bit more dangerous is now that they're getting their offense rolling, it remains to be seen, like, can that continue for game two? Maybe
Well,
get some confidence going for game two.
Liberty taking another timeout, but I want to mention the Aces are 3 points away from hitting 100 in this one. But I'm still kind of angry at that up and down call, Cage. I'll be honest, and I know I shouldn't be because the game is well out of reach. You'd expect for the Liberty. You were there with about a minute and a half left in this fourth quarter, but I'd be so mad, especially if I saw it. If I didn't see it, one of my guys was mad about it, or one of my girls was mad about it, it wouldn't really affect me. We'll just keep playing. But if I saw it, when you see that double dribble and the ref doesn't call it, you're like, reread the rule book, please. Come back and reread the rule book and come back. We'll get somebody else. Where's one of the fans? Take one of the fans out. Go reread the rule book, come back.
And I think what aggravates me the most? Yes, her reaction warranted a tech, but I think if you mess up a call like that, that's got to be looked at. That reaction, if you're a ref, has to turn a blind eye, because it's clear as day that you messed up a call, and then you want to compound it by calling a tech.
And what's kind of funny, Cage, and what's kind of funny is Kelsey Plum, 10 for 19 from the floor. And Courtney Vandersloot's bad shooting night is kind of taken away from Kelsey Plum, who's gone 1 for 7 from 3. As the Aces sit a couple of their better players, I think that is Young and Wilson right now on the sidelines, who will probably be down for the rest of the game, you'd expect.
And honestly, those three guards combined for 70 points. And we were talking about Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, but Jackie Young, my bad. My bad. And not as my bad for not bringing you up in this conversation. She might be in the early running for Finals MVP after this performance. Because man,
I think that's the Say My Name, Kajan. I think that's that moment.
Put some respect on my name moment.
But
what was Shaq saying? What was Shaq saying? I wasn't familiar with your game. My bad.
Then I also mentioned Chelsea Gray's got 20, 16, and 9. That's 6 rebounds and 9 assists. And I want to mention Kajan. So we talked about our matchups. So let's go through them a little bit here with 1:20 left in this game. Both free throws made for the Aces. I said it would be Enescu and Plum. And Enescu's got 6. Plum's got 26.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 20-point swing in favor of the Aces. You said Gray and Vandersloot, and that is a 5 to 20-point deficit in favor of Gray. So, not saying that you and I are right, because this series has to continue and we still got a lot of basketball to play. But in game one, you and I could not have been more right about matchups being very important between position groups, because Wilson's got 19 and Stewart's got 18. So you knew they were going to get theirs. Exactly what you and I said. But it's everybody else.
A good first half, but
she's only got 14, which is more than the centers between Stokes and Clark. But still, it isn't enough to make up for the 2 guards plus the small forward in Jackie Young, who's also got 26, tied with Plum, and Laney, who's at 11, had a lot better second half, but it really struggled in that first half. As basically everybody's come off the bench, Cage. Basically everybody's getting a chance to play here in the WNBA Finals at the last minute of play. There is no longer, I think, a starter in this game. Or actually, it looks, yeah, I would be right in saying that, Cage. It looks like everybody's off in this fourth quarter.
And it remains to be seen if they're just going to dribble out the clock or
No,
they're
no, they were gonna try so. You might as well. You got the bench out there, Cage. Might as well try to run something. Try to execute. But I'm for again, openly for, as the Liberty will run out the clock, and that'll do it for Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. The Las Vegas Aces 99-82 winners in this one.
And you know what was really interesting as like at the end of that game, both coaches giving each other respect. Now, I'm all for it, but you never really see that until the end of the series.
I would agree.
For the most part. So very interesting to see, but kind of a welcome change of pace.
I just want to mention this is a 6-0 now Las Vegas Aces team in the playoffs. They have not lost yet. As a couple of the Aces players go see a couple of the Nets players. I believe that's, I want to say Cam Johnson as well as Mikal Bridges, both former Suns. And now they're talking to the 2 leading scorers in Young and Plum, who both had 26 in the game. The leading scorer for the Liberty was Stewart with 18, or pardon me, with 21.
I think it was Plum and Young with 26 and Gray had 20.
Oh, pardon me, yes. I meant Plum and Young both had 26. Gray had 20, as you said, and the leading for the Liberty was Stewart with 21.
And talk about a birthday stat line. 31 years young. 20 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists.
I got 6 rebounds on score, Cage.
Oh.
So where are you seeing 7 from?
Okay, now I'm seeing 6. Now I'm seeing 6. I think like during the middle of the game they said 27 and 9. I guess they discredited a rebound in the midst of it.
Probably. They like doing that. That's actually a playoff career high there for Young. And to continue Gray's stat line, she also had 2 blocks with only 1 foul. So Gray was a mainstay. And I do want to mention this, Cage.
Yep.
I talked about the bench, I think, being a contributing factor. In this game, Clark was the only player that came off the bench until the end of the fourth quarter for the Las Vegas Aces. Clark played 28 minutes off the bench, while Stokes started and played only 21. The Liberty played Johannes 19 minutes, Thornton 8 minutes, and a couple other, obviously their other bench players came on at the very last minute. But still, the bench for the Liberty played more than I expected that they had in the previous series. And I know because these games were a little more lopsided in the second half, maybe that contributed to that. But still, Johannes played 10 minutes in the first half and played great and earned those minutes. But the Liberty kind of shortened up their bench in this one. So I wonder if that will play a factor as this series goes on, because Young played 37 minutes. Gray played 37 minutes. Plum played 36 minutes. And Kajan, I got to go back here for a second as we start to wrap up. I think I just saw a cue there from the guy behind, one of the guys behind the camera, one of the producers or assistants in production here for the Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. And I'm only going back because I want to be able to see it in real time, Cage. As the first half is exactly what we expected. And he definitely is throwing up some cues here. And I think he was trying to count him in. And actually, I think he was. I think he counted him into 5 and then pointed to the camera, ironically.
Mm-hmm.
But as they throw to their end of game panel, live from Las Vegas, I think we'll end with this. The first half was exactly what we wanted and exactly what we expected. The second half was everything but, with the Las Vegas Aces winning the second half by a score, as I try to do the quick math in my head again, Cage, that would be 53 to, I believe that'd be 30 to be 33.
Yep.
So a 20-point win in the fourth quarter, or in the second half, pardon me, by the Las Vegas Aces. They won the third quarter 26-16. They won the fourth quarter 27-17. So they won both quarters by 10, equaling out to 20. As I did there with the math. So
Let me make this an interesting. I think I have an interesting analogy for how this game went. The first half, as a basketball fan, was what we expected. The second half, scheme wise, team wise, was what we should have expected. In which the team, one, the home team, and two, the team that is more cohesive chemistry wise throughout the year, who have won a championship the previous year and have been there and done that, took over. So the first half was, as a basketball fan, what we expected. The second half, team wise, scheme wise, was what we should have expected.
And maybe what we might get, Cage, I'll quickly end with this. What do you expect for game 2 staying in Las Vegas? It'll be Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. What do you think is going to happen in game 2? Do you think Liberty make it 1-1, or do you think the Aces make it 2-0? Because if the Aces make it 2-0 on Wednesday, mark my words here, I'll say it again tomorrow. We kind of just have an overview of the game. Really slight overview, but just an overview of the game when we do our polar opposites regularly scheduled episode tomorrow, October 9th. I think if the Aces win game 2, this series goes no longer than 4. I don't think Liberty would win both in New York. I don't think that's I don't think that's possible. So
that's bold. That is bold.
I don't think Liberty can win both in New York, in Brooklyn. So before you answer, I want to mention Gray, Plum, and Young are the first trio in WNBA Finals history to each have 20 points and 5 rebounds in the same game. So again, continuing to break history in this season are the Liberty and the Aces. So go ahead, Cage. What do you expect for game 2?
What do I expect for game 2? One, for the Liberty backcourt to play a lot better, because you cannot play any worse than this.
I think they just showed Kajan 28 points for the Liberty backcourt, 72 for the Aces backcourt.
That can't happen. I expect them to be better. And there was something interesting that I saw in that fourth quarter. They were still going under on Courtney Vandersloot on those jumpers, but she was actually making them. And confidence is a fickle thing that comes and goes. But if you have confidence, if you have all the confidence in the world, more often than not, you're going to make more than miss. And the fact that she has a couple of shots knocked down, and that she saw the ball go into the net a couple of times late in that fourth quarter, maybe that might be a precursor to what to expect for game 2. Maybe you can't go underneath on Vandersloot anymore, because she's going to knock those shots down. And I think for Ionescu, that's your first taste of finals experience, because we seem to forget she's young.
Only in her third year.
Only in her third year, and she's going to have a lot more moments on the biggest stage like this. So I expect her to be better. I expect Laney to be better.
And I'm pretty sure you said Vandersloot as well, but Vandersloot's got to be better. I think she's the main one, Kate. She's got to be better. She had 10 in the end and had a good end of the game, and Eskew only had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, but Vandersloot has to start better, has to force Plum to go over the screens rather than under the screens, or the Liberty are always going to have problems.
And I think you got to establish Breonna Stewart and Jonquel Jones early. That's the biggest advantage that the Liberty have, is to get them going on the inside and to establish their presence on the inside instead of taking mid-range jumpers. They do that early on. This gets very interesting very quick and could be the key to a game 2 win. Now, if you're the Aces, backcourt's got to play like they did today. But also, the bench has to show up. Alicia Clark has to play better.
I couldn't agree more. We also got to see if the Aces go a little longer of a bench instead of just playing 6 players. I expect they will, but they do have quite a long break. Again, 3 days till game 2. Wednesday, 8 p.m. back in Vegas.
Is it
game
8 p.m. or 9?
I thought it was 8. I will rush quickly to check. It will be at 9 p.m. That's my bad. So 9 p.m. on Wednesday, October 11th. Aces versus Liberty. And again, that's 9 p.m. Eastern, so 6 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully you and I will be back able to record it. But what a game.
That might be one of those things where I have to join you midway through.
Well, we'll see if I have to do it all by my lonesome. But with that, my dog is here. I can hear him rustling outside. My parents are obviously then here. So with that, Cage, Liberty lose 99-82 in game 1. They're going to need to win game 2. We'll talk more about this tomorrow on the Polar Opposites.
Yep.
But for Cage and Theru, Danny Castle, I'm Spencer Byers. Thank you so much for tuning in to our live reactions to the Liberty versus the New York Aces to start off the WNBA Finals here on the Outrage Inc.